we're doing it. We're starting off, man. It is the Digital Basement Indie Showcase. We're going to take a look right now at a couple of games that did not make it into the Evo Indie Showcase, but I think deserve a look nonetheless. Indie games are rad, and I wanna take a look at them with my fine friends. I made a tweet about indie fighting games in the wake of the Evo Indie Showcase to be like, yo, what are some where are indie devs who didn't get a spotlight? At them for me, tag them here, and I want to talk to them. One of the folks who popped up was Rod F from ARF Games, and for those who don't know, ARF Games is the developer of Bearsis, the kind of like expanded take on Dive Kick, but with bears. They have a game, Stick Fighter, which uses the similar system. They do a bunch of contract work as well. So you might know Teen Titans Jump Jousts, which is a game that they developed under contract. And so that's one of the things that Rod said. He's like, hey, does contract work count? I don't know. And I'm like, hey, you indies are doing all the work on this contract work. So yes, it definitely counts. And so we're going to take a little look at something that's coming up for our fans of ARF Games and fans of Teen Titans and maybe some fans of Bearsis and Jump Joust and Stick Fighter. So, yo, from the Cartoon Network, Jump Joust Jams. This is another game that's made in it's the Jump Joust engine. So, like I said, ARF Games has been making 2D fighting game. If you have, like I said, if you have played it, it's most akin to Dive Kick. So the ARF Games folks took a look at Dive Kick and it as a simplified fighting game and said, look, there's more that you can do with this concept, right? So they said, what if you have extra mobility? So here, let's actually take a quick look. A couple years ago, I made a little video about Bearsis after I realized that it was going into hibernation. It has since come out of hibernation and has had more work done on it. But this might be a good way to... Some of my favorite things are approachable fighting games and puns. So you can imagine how sad I was when I heard that the indie fighting game Bearsis, developed by ARF Games, has actually been cancelled. We didn't get enough of this little cub, and I wanted to give it a quick look before it heads into hibernation. I'm Mr. MKL, and this is a fond farewell to Bearsis. This focused fighter looked at the two-button design and the humor of Dive Kick and said, we can expand on this with bears. Bearsis offered loads of puns, more mobility and attack options to maul your opponents with, and the team used their button real estate in really clever ways. Jump height can be changed by holding the button. Button inputs are contextual depending on your character state. So from a grounded state, you can hop forward or backward. When airborne, you can attack or double jump. Then from a double jump, you have access to 2 different attacks. This offers significantly more mobility and utility, adding an engaging layer to player interactions. Bearsis also removes one-hit kills from their game. All hits lead to a knockdown instead, offering a wake-up game that really didn't exist in Dive Kick, while still maintaining the no combos design philosophy. This dovetails really nicely with another game system that ARF Games incorporated into Bearsis, recovery or tech rolls. Since the game, much like Dive Kick, removes the ability to block, they instead provide invincible tech rolls as a defensive option on Wake Up. I love seeing this kind of innovation through limitation. The removal of blocking and combos, combined with the inclusion of a health bar and wake-up scenarios, introduces this really interesting play space. You see this kind of development happen in approachable fighting games quite a bit. Tough Love Arenas do nothing to block, and Fantasy Strike's do nothing to counter throws have far-reaching implications that stem from design through limitations as well. Honestly, I can't bear to see this pun-filled beast walk off into the forest. I want to see more developers expand the bounds of the genre.
Hopefully, circumstances at ARF Games can change and allow them to fully explore this unique design space in the fighting game sphere. Until then, they're keeping the alpha build of the game up on their itch.io page, and there's a web version available to play as well. I highly recommend trying out the game for yourselves. Bear hugs for all. I'll see you in the bracket.
All right, so yeah, that's kind of like the breakdown of Bearsis. And so most, I believe, all of the fighting games that ARF Games has worked on, from Stick Fighter, Bearsis, and the Jump Joust games, uses the Jump Joust engine. Finally, after, I don't know how many years, but it's been several years. I mean, and this ARF Games does a bunch of contract work, and so they have managed to work with Cartoon Network yet again to bring out Jump Joust's Jam. Which is great. Like, I'm glad. I was so sad to see Bearsis go, and then I was very excited to see Stick Fighter pop up as kind of like, hey, we're still doing this. And like, Bearsis came back, Stick Fighter happened. So they were very clearly working on this engine alongside doing various other things. And so I'm glad to see that ARF Games gets some of their contract work out there. So, I mean, this is something that wasn't shown off at EVO. I think it would have been, I think it would have made a bit of a splash. And it's kind of a shame. So y'all can go check out like ARF Games at ARF Games on Twitter. Rod F has some really interesting insights there. He's a studio lead and developer there. And yeah, I highly recommend going to check it out. Try out games like Bearsis, especially if you like kind of the narrow play space, the dive kicks, the fantasy strikes of the world. Bearsis offers something interesting in that play space. And so, okay, we're going to move on next. Another game that did not make its way into the EVO Indie Showcase, which I thought was a particular shame, was Frostfire. Now, Frostfire from Sumachu Games, I was lucky enough to work with these developers to bring a demo of their game to the Toronto Fighting Game Tournament Toryuken this year. It was a fantastic experience. Got to expose a bunch of the Toronto fighting game community to a really cool game. It's another approachable fighter, kind of an anime spin on Fantasy Strike is the way that I would describe it. But I mean, 2D fighting, anime nonsense, approachable game with a lot of complexity outside of the input approachability, right? So it's a game that I am a big fan of. I know, right? Punk, you're drooling for more Frostfire content. And I think, folks, you should check out this game. It's got an amazing art style. The development team is really great. They have been working really hard, actually, on monthly builds of this game. So one of the big issues with a lot of indie games is like, you're like, oh, are they going to be perpetually early access? Are these guys going to update the game once every 3 years or something? And who knows when I'm going to, right? No, like, Sumachu Games and the Frostfire team are doing monthly builds on their Patreon. The Patreon build is paywalled, unfortunately, but this is something that allows the team to continue development and continue adding things. Like just last month, they added rollback netcode to the beta. They've done a bunch of patches, and they have one of their characters, Emily, is getting, I don't know if I can actually say that. One of their characters is getting something really cool, expanding on the character. It's great. There are other characters in the works, so if you want to be able to get access to a really cool game with rollback netcode, with an active community, and help support one of your indie devs doing something great, definitely check out the Frostfire Patreon, Frostfire Battle Frenzy. You can get access to it there. Maybe hop on for a month. Maybe challenge me in some games, and we can get a couple lobbies going. And then, you know what? And then you can skip it for the next few months until the next cool update that really piques your interest comes up. But in the meantime, let's go take a look at the Frostfire Battle Frenzy trailer.
You thought you were cool with your powers? Now I have two!
But you haven't changed. You're still an idiot.
Yeah?
Yeah!
Bring it on!
Let's keep up the pace. You can. End this. Come and fight for me. Pay attention.
Frostfire! Battle
Frenzy!
Frenzy!
Now you can play Frostfire's demo by joining our Patreon. We'd appreciate your support.
Yo, there you go. Frostfire Battle Frenzy, patreon.com/FrostfireBF. They have added voiceover work. The voiceover is getting incorporated. More art is getting completed, so the characters, you can see in some of the clips, some of the characters have temp art, sketch art, and stuff like that. Characters are getting updated and completed constantly. They're doing balance patches. They are a very active development team who is listening to their players. So it's one of those things. Like if it matters to you, if you like that you need to like if you need that kind of back and forth and that communication and recognizing that the developers that you're supporting are like actually caring and paying attention, the Frostfire folks are great. And they're, like I said, they're providing month to month really cool and really substantial updates. Characters are getting expanded upon and are hitting like complete status and getting really interesting revisions to them. The voiceover work is coming into play. The art is coming together really well. And I'm hopeful that they start like setting up community events. I would love to see monthly Patreon tournaments, right? So that maybe that's it, right? Because like Punk says, it doesn't have to be an ongoing expense, but maybe you hop in, you grind it out for a couple weeks. Like I said, you swing by the digital basement and we play some matches. And at the end of the month, you enter a tournament, man. Maybe the developers give away a free month of their Patreon access as a tournament prize, right? Look, you don't got to pay next month. You get the free bonus, and so you get the compete, join the community, learn some stuff, play the game, win a tournament, get a month for free, right? Like maybe that works out. There's some cool things that you can do to really build a community around these games, and I'm hopeful that Frostfire, like I said, they're paying attention, they're listening. I'm hopeful that they act on some of these kinds of things, and yeah, go check it out, go play. It's super fun. It is one of those really, really like I hate to say it, I'm gonna use the word. It's an expressive game, but it's like many anime games and versus fighters and Marvel versus Capcom style games. You get a lot of it's a little. There's a lot of wiggle room with how you get to perform your combos, right? So much depends on specific positioning or height or the rate of gravity depending on how far you into your combo, and it allows for a lot of opportunities for like stray hits to lead to interesting improvised combos. And then there's this like real like flowy combo system. Yeah, it's loose. It's loose. That's right, Andrew. There's the word. Oh, I didn't want to have to use it. But yes, it's a very loose combo system, which means you can kind of just like, if you're not paying that close attention, if you're not that deep into it, you can kind of hit buttons and do fun, cool stuff that actually does decent damage. But if you are one of those players who really wants to optimize some stuff, there's a lot of meat to get into, and there's a lot of nuance that you have to understand to be optimal in all situations. So there's a lot of like space to explore there, but it's not required. Right? It's definitely not required. You can play Shadow and you can press 3 buttons in total and just like demolish your opponent because you won 2 or 3 exchanges. You could do that. Or you could do the super cool technical stuff with Emily, which might take you 7 or 8 exchanges and a lot of really stuff, but you control the match, right? And it's like if you understand the nuances, you really get to control the pace and the flow of a match and how limit how your opponent can respond, and that's a super cool like space to explore as well. So a lot of it, but that's it. If me like push button, we got Shadow. There's a lot to love. But and you know what? There's also a lot to love about this game called Burning Souls. So Maguma is a cosplayer and developer who was attending EVO this year. Unfortunately, their trailer for their game Burning Souls did not make it into the showcase, which is why we're going to be showing it off right now. I mentioned Marvel vs. Capcom, and this is definitely a Marvel versus style game. This is a 3v3 tag fighter that uses the MVC2 button layout. So for those not familiar, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is a 6-button fighter, but unlike the original Marvel vs. Capcom, which had light, medium, and heavy punch, light, medium, and heavy kick, and then various macros for your tags and assists, MVC2 changed the button layout to only have light and heavy punch and light and heavy kick, and then 2 dedicated assist buttons, because it's a 3v3 tag team. You pick 3 characters, and when you're on your point character, your primary, or whichever current one is selected, you have 2 assist buttons that can call their assist, and they will come in, and your other teammate will do an attack and allow you to do some stuff. So MVC2 limited the button real estate a little bit and condensed the real estate. And then in order to access your medium attacks, because there are medium attacks in the games, you have to press the light attack twice. So if I do, for example, light punch, heavy punch, I will get a light punch. I will get a move that is a medium punch, which might be like a bigger swing that does more damage. And then the heavy punch will give me the heavy punch. So it's kind of like a nested medium attack within the light punch. You could do cool things like you can do light punch, light kick, which will give you the lights. And then you go back to light punch and it'll give you a medium punch. And then right? Light punch, light kick. Light punch, light kick will give you light punches and then lights and then mediums. And then you can go to your heavies. So you can like change the structure of the combo and the button routing, right? MVC2, versus style fighting game from Maguma. Let's take a look.
Can you beat the heat? Does your soul yearn to burn? Step into the world of Aether and ignite your soul!
Yo, so there we have it. That is Burning Souls from Maguma. Like I said, you can check it out on Twitter. They actually have released, alongside this trailer, they actually have the game, a demo of the game up on itch.io. Right here. Link in the chat. Like I said, this is a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 inspired fighting game. And that means you have OTGs, you have wall bounces, you have aerial raves, and you have your DHZs, and you have your assist calls with different types of assists. We are actually going to hop into Burning Souls after we finish taking a look at these trailers. I'll show you a little bit about what you can do and how the game operates. We'll take a closer look at this one, absolutely. Moving on. We have a game. We played this game not too long ago in the Digital Basement, actually. This is a game from another indie fighting game dev who is doing a 3D/2D martial arts focused fighting game. And you've seen a couple of these crop up. There is Furia Royale, which is one example of a game that we played not too recently. But along with that, there's a game called Savagine. And let's take a quick look at the Savagine trailer and some of these, let's say, furry-inspired characters, and see what this little mashup of a fighting game looks like.
Savage G.
There you go, Savagine. And this is I play this. It's an enjoyable romp. I really like it. Sylv, you say you've been supporting this game for a while. What is it? I want to hear a bit from you. Like, what is it about the game that is appeal? What makes you be like, yeah, this is something I want to support. This is cool. This is worthwhile. Cause yeah, like I said, for me, it's definitely one of those games that like I'd pick up. I want to push buttons in it. I want to check out some cool characters. And then maybe I might move on. It's like it's probably one of those bite-sized games for me, right? Like the Fight of Animal vibes. Yo, that was like perfect. Absolutely. It strikes me as a fight of game, whether it be Fight of Animals, Fight of Gods, Fight of Steel. Those are things that like are fun for me to poke around in. But yeah, right? Like I'm not like doing the tournament route like I am with Merfight or something like that, right? But yeah, like I'm curious. Oh, mainly you like supporting games with anthro characters. Cool. Blazing World Star is another one. Yo, Blazing World Star. Also another really cool game. Oh man. Yeah, I enjoy some Blazing World Stars as well. They got like the art in that is fantastic. And same thing, like the character designs in Savagine. They're so, I'm sorry, like the skunk jester is just like, mwah. I don't know why this is genius. This is genius. And like, okay, I mean the cow boxer is definitely someone's fan fiction. Let's be honest with that. But no, that's really interesting. That is like you like supporting games with anthro characters, because that is one of the big takeaways I think from my Twitter poll about like what are your deal breakers for indie fighting games. And I think a lot of people's deal breakers was character appeal and aesthetic, where there were not even that there were certain types of aesthetics that they couldn't find their preferred aesthetic, but that there were a lot of aesthetics that like drive them away. If you don't like anime, you're not touching an anime game. But by the same token, if you really like anime, you're probably going to perk up when you see one, right? And so same thing, if you have an interest in the anthro characters, that is something that, right, like you see it and you perk up immediately and you're like, heck yeah, doing something cool, right? That is something to think about for like, how do you promote your games, right? How do you get people to pay attention? Having a really strong vision like that can really garner some fandom. Yo, Heavenly Parasite, yes, that is one that did make it into the EVO Indie Showcase. I highly recommend everyone go check out all the trailers from the EVO Indie Showcase. They're fantastic. Some of them are like Yamda's, the Mariella and the Robot Heroes trailer was so good. It was so good. Like, I love all my children equally, but I think I might have liked that child the most. Like legitimately, if you haven't seen the Robot Heroes trailer from the EVO Indie Showcase, you need to go check it out. It was fantastic. And Heavenly Parasite was another one that I was like, I have not seen this before. And it looked really good. It was a really well cut trailer. They're doing something interesting. I don't know how that one slipped under my radar. I don't know if they just haven't been promoting it until now and they decided to kind of make a big splash, or if like it passed me by, which happens. But yeah, that's a Heavenly Parasite's one worth checking out. Yeah, also you like the idea in Savagine about the Savage button, which is a universal stance, and pressing the same button during specials to extend combos. Yes, the combo system and the dedicated Savage button I think is a really it's a cool combo and like a button dynamic basically. And I'm glad that they're exploring that kind of stuff, right? So yeah, outside of just the theming, the mechanics of the game are kind of a departure in some ways, and that's always kind of fun and interesting to check out. So okay, I'm glad that's there. But yo, hey, we have an official community recommendation for Savagine now, right? Okay, let's take a quick look at another game that unfortunately did not make its way into the EVO Indie Showcase. This one, friends, is from a developer known as Slinky or Slanky, depending on where you see them. Slanky on Twitter has been working on this game. It is a it is a sword fighting game with a really cool art style. I'm a fan of this art style here. You know, let's just check it out, and then we're gonna talk a bit more about this one. Yo, so Swordsman's Dream is a really cool sword fighting 2D fighting game, right? And this game actually uses, first of all, it's really cute. Like I said, I love the style of characters, the stage design. It's this cool 3D extended like polygonal 3D plane, but then you have these flat storybook style parallax scrolling background elements. Super cool. You have the flat the paper 2D Paper Mario style characters. I love their design. All just the naming of them is adorable. I just want to hug it. I want to hug this game. It's like a fucking squishmallow of a video game that I want to hug. But it's also really cool. Yeah, a little Hellish Court. There is a bit of that, right? So this is actually another game. We're going to take a look at this. I'm going to boot this one up, and I'm going to show it to you alongside Burning Souls just after this trailer block. The indie showcase block. Not a trailer block, friends. We're showcasing some indies. So this one has there's a weak attack, there's a strong attack, you have a kick, you also have a parry, and then a special button. And the special button can be used to rapid cancel attacks, or use a special attack, right? So you have two normals, a special, and a kick, right? So 3 normals actually, special, kick, and parry. And so you can just hold back to block in this game, but kicks will block your break stance. So, hey, I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls lately. That's part of it, right? Part of the fighting mechanics in Dark Souls is that you can kick someone to stagger them and break their block stance, right? So that's a part of it. And then you can combo off of your kick, right? So if you kick someone out of a block and do a light attack, that will combo, but they can interrupt it with a parry. So there's this really cool block, strike, dodge, parry, 4-way rock, paper, scissors, right? It's whatever you want to call it, rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, whatever the hell it was from the Big Bang Theory, right? It's kind of like that, which is, I think, is a really cool dynamic. And then there's not much in terms of combos. Damage is extremely high. Combos are relatively hard to do and can often be parried through. But if you have the resources, you can be super damaging. You can do a TOD in 3 or 4 hits if you have the right starter, if you have the right meter, if you play your cards right. It's really cool. I think if you sword fighting, weapon combat, highly volatile, short but multiple exchanges kind of games, then you will very much like Swordsman Dreams. So from Swordsman's Dreams, let's go into this one came up in about around the same time as Frostfire Battle Frenzy was announced, and I think shares some similarities, at the very least in terms of them being more approachable games, but being kind of highly volatile, anime-focused, high-speed, wild stuff, everything is possible kind of games, but also having a very, very pointed and direct art style. Yeah, let's take a look at Duels of Fortune. sorry, transitioned away from that a little early. That is Duels of Fortune cross Hyper Team Recon. So we got a new character, and we got some Andrea in there. Yo, she's like, we got like Kirby girl, man. Like, we got Kirby girl in there. Yo, Mystery Johnson's in there. For those of you who don't know, Duels of Fortune's been doing a really good job of doing all these like interesting crossovers. And so there are some crossovers from some of Andrea Jens' games. We got Mystery Johnson in there as a character. We have Ember in here now from another series, right? I'm not familiar with that other series, but we have these games working on new content, getting new characters, getting further into development. Last time I played this game, it was like version 0.2, and now it's 0.41. It is coming along. We're almost halfway to 1.0, friends. Duels of Fortune, they're doing some really interesting stuff. There's a lot of single-player content available in the Duels of Fortune games. There are like gameplay modifiers and Smash Brothers style like stage hazards in certain modes. There's funny stuff like big head mode. There's a whole ton of really cool stuff in the game. So it appeals to like I said, there's also like a pretty solid combo system. You saw some of the stuff in there. It's like, it's one of those games where, do you think it'll land? Like, this should hit, right? Like, it's in the general vicinity. It should probably hit. It will hit, right? And if ever you think it's just too far away and it's probably not going to hit, it also will hit. Like, this is the kind of game where if you want it to work, you can make it work. And so there's a lot of opportunity for really cool combo shit. A lot of opportunity for, like, really interesting high-level play, but also a lot there for people who just want to mess around, who just want to push some buttons in a game and see cool characters and see cool locations and be like, I want to run through a single-player mode. There's, like, a Subspace Emissary style mode, like running through a stage, a 2D platforming stage, trying to beat up on enemies. So there's a lot that you can really do with the game, and there's a lot they are doing with it. So I highly recommend everyone go check out Duels of Fortune here. I would be remiss if I didn't show this one. So we got one more trailer. Another game which has done something with a really interesting art style. They have done something kind of fighting game adjacent. They wanted to bring in some of the fighting game aspects into other styles of games. And one of those other styles of games is kind of like the tug-and-war combat game. And you might have heard of a game called Nidhogg, which was a tug-of-war 2D Atari-looking sword fighting game. And we have someone called Julio working on a game called Resistance 2040X, and they have decided to take this kind of core concept of tug-of-war combat, the push and pull of 2D combat, and then bring in way more fighting game specific aspects to it. And so if you're a fan of fighting games, if you're a fan of 2D combat and platformer combat, there's a little something for everyone. And not only that, this game is doing really cool stuff. Like, it has Twitch integration, so that if you're playing on Twitch, people in your Twitch chat can actually vote on various game modifiers to like switch up the gameplay. There's some really, really fun and really cool stuff going on. Yo, Julio, what's up? I see you there in chat, friend. So, yo, let's take a quick look at the Resistance trailer. there you go, friends. Resistance 2040X available today to wishlist on Steam. I am like 99% sure it's got a demo out there. Julio can correct me. Yeah, there's a demo out there. It said that in the trailer, right? I made the trailer. I should know this. Yo, speaking of which, I had such a great time working on this trailer with Julio. I am so happy to have been able to at least help kind of provide a really cool and interesting presentation of the game. I hope you got the sense of game flow from it. I hope you got the sense of style from it. Yes, there absolutely is a demo. How could I be so forgetful? So y'all need to go check that out. It is really fun. We got, if you saw there in the trailer, there are new characters coming on the way. Some of these characters, I love the design for them. I'm sorry, that bunny girl, I wanna mess someone up as that bunny girl. That is something that I need in my life. All right, it's gonna be so much fun. I've really enjoyed. There's the two styles of characters. There's one Slice who's more of a bruiser, and then there's the other one Zero, who is much more of a rush down swordsman kind of girl. Yeah, the game is really cool. The flow of the game works really well because of this nice ebb and flow and push and pull. For those of you who haven't played a game like a tug of war style game like Nidhogg or Resistance, the way that it works is that you start off and the screen's locked. And when you KO someone, the screen unlocks and it says go, and you got to push towards the finish line. And the idea is that you need to keep taking out your opponent and make your way towards the finish line and cross it. First one that does so wins. But the flow of the game is so interesting in this, because the way that it works is your respawn timer is tied to the number of KOs that you've received. So if I die once, my respawn timer is pretty short. If I die 10 times, my respawn timer is pretty long. If I've died 20 times, it gets very long, which gives my opponent a much bigger opportunity. So it's like the game handles this it keeps it really tight at first. There's a lot of back and forth, and as the game stretches on, there's these bigger gaps. But because you're getting the bigger pushes and pulls on each side, so long as you're exchanging KOs, it's this really interesting ping-ponging effect that it starts really, really fast and then goes further and further, which increases the stress and the tension. It's really well done. And then within the combo system, it's limited health. You only need a handful of hits to really take out your opponent. But if you do extended combos and get multiple hits, you can actually gain more health, right? You get bonus points, bonus health points, for the extended combos. So there's this incentive to, if you want to be more optimal, you can get more HP, which can help you sustain more damage. But if your opponent is optimal, they're going to get the kill anyways and get health back. So once again, this ebb and flow, this push and pull, is so compelling to me. I think it's a lovely game loop. And yeah, I'd like to see more of this kind of tug of war style dynamic appear in games. There's games like Break Blow, Twist or Fist, or Fist or Twist, or whatever it's called, for the PS2, which has this kind of dynamic. World Heroes 2 has a mode that does something similar. There is a new game. Oh, I can't remember the name of it now. There is another indie game in the works that uses a similar tug of war health bar, which is another interesting twist on it. Mohas, you said it right. Indie fighters are so good. There's people looking at interesting and different ways to do things while still being so very fighting game at their core, and it's lovely to see. I love seeing these spins on it and these interesting views on our genre and our community, and I want to see more of it. And so that's why I'm happy to have gone through some of this and shown off, done the little digital basement indie showcase for y'all. And to wrap that up, to top off our indie showcase, I'm going to take a quick break, fill up my drink. We need a stretch break, friends. We need to stretch our backs and stay hydrated, take care of ourselves and each other. But then I will be back, and we're going to play a couple of the games that we have just seen trailers for. We're going to take a look at Swordsman's Dream. We're going to take a look at Burning Souls. And then if we have some time, we're going to poke into Duels of Fortune and see what they're up to. But I highly recommend y'all check out these devs, check out these games. There are demos available today. And support your indies where you can.